A very warm welcome to the news. In details now, experts have noted that the promotion of pharmaceutical manufacturers in the East African community would greatly help to reduce the cost of medicines in the region. Now, this comes as the East African Legislative Assembly has held a public hearing on a pharmaceutical bill. Take a look.
We spoke to local residents about their experiences when buying medicine, and the complaints were similar, regardless of whether or not they were covered by the community-based health insurance scheme Mituelle de Santé.
Sometimes the doctor prescribes medicine that costs more than 10,000 Rwandan francs, and then getting it using Mituelle becomes a problem. Sometimes with Mituelle, you're instructed to go and buy expensive medicine elsewhere, and not everybody can afford it. Obviously, it is a problem.
We believe that the government should reconsider the matter for the sake of us, the general public, and reduce the cost of medicine. The reason it established the community-based health insurance scheme was to help us after all. So what was the point if I still can't get the prescribed medicine? Members of Rwanda's National Pharmacy Council say there is a reason why some medicines can be very expensive. The first challenge is that we do not have enough pharmaceutical manufacturers in the country, so we are forced to import almost all of our medicines. That is the most pressing issue we have, and importing medicine is very expensive for us. Members of the East African Legislative Assembly and the region's health partners are holding a public hearing here in Kigali concerning a pharmaceutical bill that would boost production in the EAC.
EAC member states must harmonize policies on pharmaceutical production, and required quality standards must be made so that we can even export to international markets while meeting our own demand. The medicines must also be affordable. Also, establishing such industries would increase employment opportunities for our own people. So obviously there are health benefits for our people, but also economic benefits for the member countries of the East African community.
Similar public hearings will be held in all member states on the pharmaceutical bill before a law can be passed by EALA. In 2020, the East African community imported medicine worth $2.695 billion. Uganda and Tanzania importing the lion's share at $700 million. Rwanda imported medicine worth $120 million. The East African community now has close to 300 million people, but only 25% have health insurance.
The Ministry of Education says that every effort is being made to increase the number of TVET schools from 31.9% currently to 60% by 2024. Now, the ministry is urging parents and students to see the benefits of TVET schools. Betty Mutoni has this report.
A 22-year-old Muhuza Hirwa Jadik owns a company known as Muza Design, which makes shoes of different types, belts, bags and wallets. And his company has a capacity of producing shoes between 100 to 150 shoes daily. This is done in the collaboration with 20 workers he employed. He started in 2019, and his vision is to become among leading company in the manufacturing industry that produce high-quality shoes that match with customer expectations. His advice to youth is to have positive thinking and use every opportunity got.
Youth unemployment is highlighted in Rwanda. The government and other institutions has put some effort, but more needs to be done by youth themselves to create their better future. There is sayings that say that dormant mind is bed of the devil. As youth, we always have to think positive, try to explore and seize every opportunities without having those thoughts that there is no job, and here we are the one who are to create it.
Nije na Theophile and Muhawenimana Bulletin were trained by Muza Design, who are now among 20 workers in this company. They noted that this opportunity helped them to improve their standards of living, and they also encourage youth to be innovative, which will help them in fighting unemployment.
I've been working since 2020 until now. Before working here, I used to ask almost everything, my parents. Right now, I do everything on my own. At the end of this contract, because it is going to end maybe next month, I've planned to start my own thing, my own company, because I've already finished my high school, but I didn't go in university because I lost bursary, but I'm planning to pay for myself because of this job.
It is mostly caused by the feeling that you cannot do certain job because it is cheap, but the job that gives you money can never be cheap. And because of this job, there are things that I cannot ask from my parents. Due to working in Moza Design, I can be able to get them on my own. The ideas from vocational and technical institutions continue to widespread among youth. Bizimungu Jonathan, who is currently studying at IPRC Kigali, owns a company known as John Tech Company Limited that designs made in Rwanda digital billboards, which were currently imported. This has helped him to earn a living, but also will ease the access to billboards by Rwandans at affordable prices.
Mostly people used to think that TVET school is like we go to study in TVET because we have no other choice, but that is not true. We study in TVET because we need to be more innovative. We need to solve the problems that are surrounding our country, not only in our country, but our society in general. So they have to change their mind and come study in TVET in order to be innovative and be able to solve different problems that are surrounding our society. It helps in job creation. This is what I made by myself. Yes, so it helps in job creation.
A survey conducted by the Ministry of Education shows that 66% of graduates are able to get jobs or create them in the first 6 months after graduating. The Minister of State in charge of ICT and TVET, Claudette Tirere, stressed out that the government is doing everything possible to increase the number of TVET schools while educating people to change the perception of such schools.
People confuse these two categories, and so everyone, whenever you say please choose TVET because you have better employment opportunities and many employment opportunities, and people always think it's a vocational one because they think, oh no, it's for those that did not study, that could not continue their education, and that's not true. And for that we are continuing to do campaigns to change, but also explain and educate. And where necessary, we will convert some of the schools, some of the rooms, not the schools, some of the rooms into TVET classrooms and just add workshops. And this, we're sure, will help in mobilizing and increasing accessibility for students.
Currently, 31.9% of students attend TVET schools, and the target of the government is to reach 60% by 2024. Betty Mutoni, RTV News.
Thank you, Betty, for that report. Now, economic experts and investors alike here in Rwanda have been commending the government for providing incentives and include tax exceptions to boost investment. Now, this comes following an announcement from the Rwanda Development Board. Last year, investments in country were worth $3.7 billion.
Greenleaf Autofast Rwanda is promoting the use of electric vehicles in the country, importing them and building charging stations at strategic locations. And the company's executives say incentives provided by the government have greatly facilitated their doing business here in Rwanda.
And we are using our flagship vehicle, which is the Outlander PHEV Mitsubishi vehicle. Now, this vehicle we introduced at the beginning of 2021 and have been selling it to different private organizations and leasing it to other organizations. But since the incentives of government started kicking in, some of which are tax exemption on these vehicles being imported, we have noticed more and more private individuals coming in to buy these vehicles and inquire of them. And now, to support these private individuals, the biggest fear, obviously, is always, where will I charge my car? So whenever we sell a car, we give you 2 domestic chargers, which we install at your home and at your office. But because the number is increasing, we need to have more streamlined and more structured way of charging. And so we have introduced multi-standard chargers, which we have started installing in different parts of Kigali, which is the main area of our customer base. And hopefully we shall roll out to the rest of Rwanda. Our target is, currently we have installed 4 public chargers around the city of Kigali. And our target is that before the end of the year, we have at least 12 installed in different parts of Kigali. These will be areas of interest, say around Kigali Arena, around Kigali Heights, around the airport, and areas where we know people normally drive to. And the goal is to make sure that anybody who buys the car is not locked in on where to charge. They can drive to a different place and have the same convenience. It is important to note that the chargers we're talking about, the fast chargers, are multi-standard chargers. So they don't only charge our vehicles, Mitsubishi vehicles, but can charge any other electric vehicle that is brought into the market. But apart from that, they are fast chargers. So they will be able to fill the vehicle battery from 0 to minimum of 80, from 0 to 80 in about 20 to 25 minutes. So this allows the person to quickly charge and continue on their trip.
Other young investors in the country like Moise Senkiyumva, who is constructing an 11-story building worth close to 10 billion Rwandan francs, say they also benefited from government incentives to invest in the country, such as a tax exemption on all building materials.
Gushora mu Rwanda imari birunguka cyane kuko niyo badukuraho imisoro.
Investing in Rwanda is very profitable because of the tax exemptions. With such incentives, there is no way you cannot make profits. It's very good that the government is doing this, and I am particularly proud as a Rwandan to come back to invest in my home country. This is my identity and I cannot change it, so it beats investing elsewhere. The government has really helped us with the construction materials, both locally manufactured and imported. New investment projects in Rwanda like this last year created 48,669 new jobs.
For example, I can now pay my child's school fees without asking for help, and I pay my rent and my food with no problems. With more projects like this, people like us who were not fortunate enough to get an education can still get jobs and develop as well.
The work we get here enables us to meet our personal needs. With this job, I can get anything I need because I work and I get paid. Economic experts have been noting on the benefits of the government promoting investment in the way it does.
Investment is very important for an economic development of a certain country, any country. One, because it contributes to job creation. For example, last year, the investment in Rwanda last year will contribute to around 50,000 new jobs. And that's very important because actually it helps people who are employed to bring bread, to put bread on the table. That's one. And two, any investment actually contributes to resolving a problem which is in the country, like access to healthcare, like access to infrastructure. But particularly in Rwanda, when we talk of real estate, it resolves the problem of habitat. You know, we need to make sure that Rwandans have access to improved habitat and residence. And when an investment like that comes in the country, it helps the country, it helps the government, it helps the citizens to resolve the problems which they are facing on a daily basis.
A report from the Rwanda Development Board indicates that in 2021, new investment projects in the country were worth $3.7 billion, 22.5 million of that money going towards the use of electric vehicles. 57% of all investment projects in general were in the construction industry.
Now, on Tuesday, Honorable Donatille Mukabalisa, Speaker of the Chamber of Deputies, received two members of the Canadian Parliament, Honorable Brad Rudjakob and Honorable Kelly Block. During their discussions, Honorable Donatille Mukabalisa appreciated the fact that the Canadian Parliament voted in favor of making the 7th of April the International Day for commemorating the genocide against the Tutsi. The two members of the Canadian Parliament mentioned that they had the opportunity to meet with various leaders in different institutions, including the Ministry of National Unity and Civic Engagement, the Ministry of Trade and Industry, the Rwanda Governors Board and the Rwanda Development Board, and it reflects Rwanda's development progress. The two sides also discussed ways to further strengthen relations between the two parliaments. Now, moving on, parliamentarians have called on the concerned authorities to reform the anti-corruption policy that was introduced back in 2012, citing ongoing concerns and cases received by the Ombudsman office during the 2020-2021 fiscal year. Take a look. The Committee on Political Affairs and Gender in the Chamber of Deputies presented to the plenary session its assessment report of the 2020-2021 Ombudsperson report. The members of Parliament pointed out that there are still a number of issues faced by the people regarding injustice and corruption, and that efforts should be made to address them. In the report, we noticed that there were issues of residents that were never paid for constructing classrooms, yet the money was supposed to be included in the next budget, which is a very sad thing because during our visit in Rwanda, we saw the people who did not get paid, and yet the classrooms had started being used for a while.
The fact that the crimes are being identified and punished is good. And the more they are brought to surface, the more people are now afraid to commit such crimes of corruption. But the fact that they are increasing is alarming.
The Commission found that the Ombudsperson's work that year was impressive and that more focus should be directed on combating corruption in the workplace and at the grassroots level, based on the fact that the current level of corruption in the workplace is at a rate of 37.7% and at the local level it is 27.9%, according to Mukamana Elizabeth, Vice Chairperson in the Committee on Political Affairs and Gender in the Chamber of Deputies, which conducted the analysis. Concerning the job market, corruption is still evident, though not much, which is why we cannot keep quiet and ask that the matter is discussed and the issue is dealt with convincingly. In resolving the issues that delay the fight against corruption and injustice, members of Parliament called on the relevant authorities, including the Ministry of Justice, to reform the anti-corruption policy. The existing policy was made in 2012. Recently, a lot of work was done. Various laws were implemented and a lot was achieved in the fight against corruption. So it is important that this policy be reformed to match these achievements, especially now that we are aiming to the 2050 vision. It is necessary to reform it so that by 2050 we shall have achieved a significant step in fighting corruption. The Office of the Ombudsperson estimates that in 2020-2021, it received 852 complaints, including 408 written complaints and 444 complaints received in the anti-corruption program. By the end of June 2021, 449 issues had been resolved, 377 issues had been referred to the relevant authorities, and 26 had not been analyzed. The majority of the received land-related issues accounted for 36.5%. Many other issues are related to resettlement for reasons of public interest, which is at 12%. In its analysis of cases seeking redress for injustice, the Office of the Ombudsperson reviewed 343 of the 361 cases received in the 2020-2021 seeking redress for injustice. Of these, 42 cases, equivalent to 12.2%, were cases where the Office of the Ombudsperson found injustice to be reconsidered on grounds of injustice, and in 301 cases, equivalent to 87.8%, there was no injustice. And on behalf of the entire news production team, thank you so much for your company. I'm Jane Mutoni. Bye for now.